Greetings, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I still don't see any news media here today. This is the third day of the Lula Smart trial, and it's concerning the Quitman 10+2 who were arrested for alleged voter fraud on December 21st, 2010. It's been over 3 years, and they are still trying to try just one case. And this is a brief update. We just had our second witness, who was a postal worker. Yesterday, Miss Linda Ford took the stand, and she is employed at the Secretary of State's office. That's Brian P. Kemp. She's a registrar. And I've already talked a little bit about her, but the most interesting witness so far, in my most humble opinion, is the postal worker who actually found the bundle of ballots in the receptacle right down here in Quitman Post Office, and that aroused his suspicion. And so everything is based upon him initiating the problem in terms of notifying the people involved. Not the people, but the agencies. In other words, he was the one. And let me add this. This guy has 18 years experience with the United States Post Office, and he said he was not familiar with the Privacy Act and how to protect individual citizens' information on an official letter, which I found very difficult to believe in regards that I am a former postal worker while in Okinawa, Japan, with the Postal Service. And moreover, he was very, in my opinion, evasive. He even refused to just simply give a yes or no answer. It seemed, in fact, the judge had to tell him a couple of times just to answer the questions. And if he wanted to comment, he could, but not to take so long. But the bottom line is that Mr. Boone, John Boone was his name, and as I said, he had 18 years with the post office in one form or another. Attorney King asked him, did he see anything wrong with taking information off of an official letter, then making a log, and of course taking it home with him. And he couldn't even identify whether the person that he gave some of this information to was a G.B.R. agent or if he was just a private investigator. And so he did not know. He said he couldn't distinguish between the badges if this individual was with the G.B.R. So once again, as we sat in the audience, many of us, we wondered about that. C.B. King, in my most humble opinion, he did what any attorney would do for their client. And lastly, as we close this out, but it was a very interesting day. By the way, Mr. John Boone have left the stand, and so I'm sure they'll be calling their next witness. So we're gonna close this out. This 18-year-old, he stated that he had never seen a list of the do's and don'ts on the privacy and the concerns of citizens' information on an official letter. He said that no one had ever told him. Now, he said nobody had ever told him in terms of what you could do to a letter and what you could not do. In other words, let me get it exactly right. I want to get it just the way the attorney asked him. He asked him, had he ever seen a list of the do's and don'ts concerning privacy? And he said, no, he asked seen or read, and he said nobody had notified him of anything of that nature. Now, in my most humble opinion, I know I went to Biloxi, Mississippi. We had a 2-week training program concerning postal services. I was not in the postal service in the military, but when I went overseas to Okinawa, Japan, of course I was in postal service for my whole 18 months. And so they sent all of us down to Biloxi, Mississippi to receive training. And you better believe it, that they definitely told us about the Privacy Act, because that's dealing with personal information. And under our form of government, you can't just do that. And so the attorney asked Mr. John asked him if he had talked to anybody who knew about the election and maybe wanted the election to go in their favor. But he said he didn't know anyone, he didn't talk to anyone. He said he don't have any kids going to the school system. He had no interest in this election. And so once again, I'm only giving you this information because it did happen. I got many more notes that I could share with you, but we don't want to do that. All I just want you to understand something, that I am an independent person. I am not ABC News here in South Georgia. I am not NBC News here in South Georgia. I am not Fox News here in South Georgia. I am not any of the other local news media, television stations, or radio. I am not that. What I am a concerned citizen who believed as a retired military veteran who put his life on the line during the Vietnam era that the people in South Georgia and the state of Georgia, along with the United States of America, should know about the voting process here in Brooks County. I do not believe, in fact, I cannot even fathom why the news media here in South Georgia is not covering this event as if though they are not concerned about the election process. Now, I wouldn't want them to come and cover so much that they compromise the case, and I'm not doing it either. After all, they can't even listen to my blog, or they can't even, well, you know what I'm saying. But the bottom line is, we in the black community in particular, along with the white right community, we know that something is seriously wrong with freedom of press here in South Georgia. In other words, the freedom that we thought we had when it comes down to reporting the cutting edge news, we all know that there is something severely wrong. And I intend to continue what I'm doing, because if our sons and if our daughters can die wearing that uniform for the protection of foreigners in foreign nations, then surely the people here in the United States should be concerned about their children, their mothers, their fathers' right to vote. And do you not know that when I walk the streets concerning the Quitman 10+2, along with Pastor Calvin Benjamin, we heard people here in Brooks County, including Marvin, Georgia, talk about being intimidated by the G.B.R. to the degree that they were afraid, some of them, to return back to the polls and vote. And some of this have already been on the witness stand during the other mistrial. But not even limited to that. Not just looking at that. I want to look at other areas of public meetings wherein people identified problems at the Board of Elections in July. And yet, they made complaints to the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp's office. Valid complaints. Even Commissioner Maxwell made statements at the county commissioners meeting. All of this you can find on Boston G.B.R. channel because it's all been documented. Now, Brian P. Kemp sent an investigator from Macon, Georgia to Avery's church right over here, and I was in attendance. I personally gave that investigator, at the request of J.C. Cunningham, who was running for state office, he asked that I give that DVD to Secretary of State investigator, and we did. Now, one mother, I can't think of Miss Gibbs, somebody, I can't think of her name right now, I think I got it right, but she said in that meeting that was never published in the Quitman Free Press or in no other news media here in South Georgia except my blog. She was almost in tears as she said these words, and you can watch the video yourself because all I deal in is facts. She said, I can't understand why they don't do something about the voting process here in Brooks County. She said these words, how much can a community take? She said, how much can a community take? That's what she said. Now, do you not know I've had people here in Brooks County ask me, Rhymes, did the Secretary of State ever get back with answers concerning that meeting that took place over a year ago? Right down there at Reverend Pastor Avery's church. Some of them feel like bona fide forms even before that meeting. And they sent them to the Secretary of State's office, Brian P. Kemp. And nothing has been done. I said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it. You can criticize me, but call me on the facts. I don't care whether it's CNN, MSNBC, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, or just call me and take an hour and get behind this little small camera and let's debate the issues based on facts. That's all we want. That's all I put my life on the line for in the United States Armed Forces, was to stand up for what is right here in the United States of America. I took an oath and an obligation to defend this country from both foreign and domestic enemies. And I never deserted. I never received a letter of reprimand. I got one letter of counseling in my 21 years, and I had that removed because it was not based on truth. It was based on untruth. And as Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. And this is all we intend to do, is to keep you informed, because under our form of government, believe it or not, we all have a right to know. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. This is the third day of Lula's smart trial in the state of Georgia. I don't see no news media. I don't see Al Sharpton. I don't see any of the civil rights organizations. But I tell you what, the NAACP is in the house. The NAACP from Brooks County branch is in the house. Isn't that a blessing? Once again, the Ghetto Free Press keeping you informed, because you have a right to know. And as our sons and daughters serve on foreign battlefields, isn't it a beautiful day that we can protect and that we can report here in the United States of America? Bye-bye. We gone.